Hi everyone, this is Emily Leiphart here for Tailored Expressions, and in today's video I'll be creating 4 cards with the Celebrate You Cardmaking Kit. This is a fabulous and festive card making kit geared towards birthdays. However, you can definitely use the kit for all sorts of celebratory occasions, including weddings, anniversary, graduations, general friendship, and even New Year's. Let me start by showing you everything that's included in this kit. There's a little pot of rainbow sequins, and these are absolutely adorable for the shaker panels included in this kit. There are 4 foilable acetate sheets which are meant to be used with transfer foil and a mink or laminator. Not to worry though, if you don't have one of these types of machines, you can still use these as a shaker panel, either with tape or a sewing machine. The fonts are reminiscent of the Hey There products and the Cap It Off Alpha in case you wanted to do more with it. Next we have the 6 envelope seals. I love the pretty rainbow stripes on these, and if you're like me and often forget to use these seals, I'm going to show you how to use one of these as the focal point and sentiment on a clean and simple card design. Next up, there are 4 shaker panels which fit around a panel sized 4 inches by 5¼ inches, so it leaves a border to show the card base. The new mini strips Let's Celebrate cling stamp is my favorite part of this kit because I can't resist mini strip sentiments. There's also a new mini strips flags die which is not part of this kit but will be sold individually. The other stamp set included in this kit is the Let's Celebrate You stamp set. When stamped, this measures 3 inches by 4 inches, so it's a really nice size for the front of a card. It's also an exact replica of the foilable acetate sheets, so there's a lot you can do with it. As always, you get 6 envelopes with your kit, and these colors are Lollipop, Candy Corn, Lemon Meringue, Key Lime, Plum Punch, and Sugar Cube. The Confetti Maker die is a fun one, and you can use this die with any color of cardstock to create your own confetti to use in the shakers or as accents on your cards. You can use all this confetti on its own or mixed with the sequins. Let's get started on my cards. For my first card, I'm going to ink up the Let's Celebrate You stamp with the 5 colors represented by the envelopes. You can use the full-size ink pads, but I'm using the small cubes because I want to create a rainbow on the sentiment, and it's easier to be specific about color placement with the ink cubes. After inking up the colors, I use a coordinating blender brush to soften the edges where they transition to the next color. After that, I set the panel aside to stamp out all the mini strip sentiments. I knew I wanted to use several of these strips, but I didn't know whether I would prefer them stamped in Oreo or heat embossed with Sugar Cube. I cut panels of Lollipop, Candy Corn, Lemon Meringue, Key Lime, Plum Punch, Sugar Cube, and Oreo. I basically stamped with Oreo on 6 colors of cardstock. Then I heat embossed with Sugar Cube and white embossing powder on the same 5 colors, switching out Sugar Cube cardstock with Oreo cardstock for obvious reasons. I used the new mini strips flags die to cut out all the sentiments, and don't they look incredible? They're so pretty sorted this way in rainbow order. For my first card, I trimmed down the rainbow stamped panel to 4 inches by 5¼ inches so it fits inside the shaker pouch. Before I assemble it and add the sequins, I added a detailed border using the diagonal stitched rectangle stacklets. This is probably one of my most used die sets. I love that it adds just that extra bit of detail without adding layers, and it makes a big difference in the overall design. I used score tape on the bottom and 2 sides to create a pocket, and I used a bone folder to help flatten the seams. I leave the top open so I can pour in the sequins. You can add as many or as few as you like. This is definitely a personal preference. I tend to add too many, but luckily they're easily removed in shakers like this. When I'm satisfied, I close the top flap and attach the whole panel to the sea salt card base. Normally I would use a tape runner, but I wanted to make sure that the heavy acetate panel was very secure. For my second card, I'm going to use both the foilable sheet and the Confetti Maker in unconventional ways. Lately, I've really enjoyed making backgrounds with multiple colors of cardstock taped together, and then die cutting them as a single background. The key is to make sure that the edges are as tightly taped together as possible so there's no gap at all. It makes the panel look as if it were a single piece, masked and stenciled. Each of these 4 pieces are 2¾ inches by 4¼ inches. I made a larger panel so I could cut it down on an angle. After it's complete and trimmed, I used the Confetti Maker die on the candy corn and lemon meringue sections. I want to place the foilable acetate sheet on top of this, but I noticed that it doesn't look good if the sheet is right up against the angled panel. In order to create a gap between the acetate sheet and the angled panel, I'm going to use the Frame and Frame 2 die and foam strips. I cut the frame from sugar cube cardstock and used 1/8 inch tape along the edges to secure the acetate sheet, which I cut down to fit inside the frame. Then I add foam strips along that panel and secure the angled panel, which I've also trimmed down to size. Before attaching this entire piece to the card base, I felt that it needed a bit of bling, and the best way to do that was to add some silver glitter cardstock behind the die cut sections. I didn't want to waste an entire sheet of glitter cardstock, so I used a pencil to trace the size of the piece I needed. I added them with tape and used a tape runner on the remaining areas to secure the panel to the C-cell card base. I really love the way this turned out, and if you give it a try, I'd love to see your version. For my third card, I selected various heat embossed sentiments to create a rainbow and attached them to a panel die cut from the stitched rectangle stacklets. I'm attaching a silver glitter border to the sugar cube card base. I've cut out the entire center of this panel because it doesn't need to be there, and because silver glitter cardstock is too valuable. This frame was cut from the petite scallop rectangle stacklets. I attach the sentiment panel to the front of the card and add a few stars in coordinating colors. This card is so cute, and with all of the strips I stamped and heat embossed, imagine all the cards I could make in this style. My fourth and final card uses one of the envelope seals, which I secure with a circle die cut. You can use any circle die for this or even cut one by hand. The sticker just needs some reinforcement, especially since I popped it up on foam tape to attach it to the silver glitter border cut from the stitched circle stacklets. Next, I used the Easy Strips dies in 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch widths and glued those strips down on a panel cut to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. Again, these colors are Lollipop, candy corn, lemon meringue, key lime, and plum punch to match the envelopes. Although I think I grabbed the wrong green cardstock and what you see is actually lime zest. The ink I used on the first card is definitely key lime, but the cardstock on the other 3 cards is lime zest. I trim off the overhanging bits and attach the panel to the card base, which I die cut using the diamond's piercing plate for added visual interest, since the overall design is so simple. Finally, attach the circle to the card, centering it both horizontally and vertically to match the die cut strips. Here's a review of the finished cards. I used everything included in the kit at least once to show you the versatility of these fabulous products. Do you have a favorite here? Please let me know in the comments which card is your favorite or which card you're most likely to replicate. I hope you enjoyed all the ideas presented in this video on how to use the Celebrate You Cardmaking Kit, and I look forward to seeing what you make with it. You can find all of these products in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.